As the recruiting world turns for USC, the Trojans class of 2027 is starting to come into focus. You know what that means? It means there's more impact recruits getting ready to pull the trigger. Yep, USC is stacking classes.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On USC. I'm your host, Marc Kulkin, and when I'm not here with my everydayers at Locked On USC, probably the #1 sports podcast network, Locked On, I'm hanging out at WeRC.com, writing some articles. If you watched yesterday's episode of Locked On USC, I had my partner in crime over there, Chris Trevino. He joined the show. So again, when you're done making Locked On USC and the Locked On Network your first listen every single day, head on over there to WeRC.com. Take advantage of that $1 subscription special. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers, you can bet $5. You're going to get $250 back in bonus bets when your first bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. So far, USC's 2027 class, it's full of local guys, right? We know it's going to be half the size of the #1 ranked class in 2026. Roughly 17 commitments is the target number. Right now, they got 9. All of them are from Southern California, with the exception of their most recent Javon Vital Jr., the uber athlete from the state of Louisiana. USC beat out LSU, Ole Miss, Houston, amongst other teams. He's one of those put the ball in his hand and let him make a play for you type of guy. Yeah, he's really exciting. Looking forward to him being part of the program when he arrives at USC next year at some point. So yeah, 9 guys, one out of state commitment. Right now, the class has one offensive line recruit in the fold. He's a big one, right? Drew Fielder, the former Oregon commit. USC flipped him a few weeks ago now. So just curious, want to throw this out there. If you've been following along on social media, do you think USC asked Drew Fielder what his favorite ice cream flavor was? Was that part of the recruiting process? If you're unaware of what that means, that little inside joke, I guess. Oregon's quarterback coach, he asks, when he's recruiting quarterbacks, he asks them a question. He asks the recruiter question, favorite ice cream. And you have to be able to, basically, chocolate or vanilla. And he wants an answer right away. He doesn't care what the answer is. That doesn't matter. But he wants to know that you can make a decision quickly. Because if you can't make a decision quickly on ice cream, obviously you're not going to be able to make a quick decision on the field, when everything matters. So yeah, the Oregon program's getting a little blowback for that. Call it nonsense. I get it. I understand why the coach is doing it. But to go out there and be that proud of it, whatever. Anyways, getting back to USC recruiting, which is kicking Oregon's butt up and down the field. So Drew Fielder, once committed to Oregon. He's a local kid from Servite. Lincoln Riley, Zach Hansen, they're starting to mine the state of Colorado. The reason why I brought up the offensive lineman, because USC is going back to the state of Colorado. They're looking for more. If you followed USC recruiting at all, you know that USC has been pretty successful in that state. You can go back. You had Lendale White, Jeff Byers, more just recently. Breck Collegier and Cannon Smith. Mark Bowman has a connection to the state of Colorado. So yeah, USC has done a really good job of mining that state, so to speak. And right now they're looking good for a couple of other recruits from the state in the 2027 class. I brought up the offensive line. Well, this gentleman's name, Reis Russell. He's from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, Valor Christian. He showed up at USC for the final 2 days of spring camp, and he had this to say, quote, "I had a great 2 days. I went to practice Friday and Saturday. Meeting with Coach Hansen and Coach Lincoln Riley was awesome. The whole personnel staff was awesome. to meet with. They were awesome to meet with as well. The way they do things is incredible, and you feel excellence around not just the program, but the entire school. He is probably going to end up coming to USC. He's got an official visit set up for May 29th. There's another offensive lineman from Colorado, actually a higher ranked prospect. His name is Jackson Roper. He scheduled his official visit to USC that same weekend as Reis Russell. I just don't think USC is going to get both of them. So I think it's going to be, I think Russell's going to be the guy. If my spidey senses tell me anything, I think Jackson Roper probably ends up at Texas A&M. That's kind of the vibe going right now. So yeah, right now, I'm going to repeat myself. USC has 9 commitments. Just to remind everybody who they are, that's Honor Fella Ave Johnson. You've got Quentin Hale, the wide receiver, Danny Lang, the cornerback, Aaron Washington, the cornerback. I mentioned Drew Fielder already. How about wide receiver Eli Woodard? I mentioned Javon Vital Jr. just a few minutes ago. Linebacker Josiah Poyer that I mentioned last week when he committed. And then you got Isaiah Vandermeer, Lenny's kid, defensive lineman. He's the only defensive lineman in the class right now. But that doesn't mean he's going to be the only one. In fact, I promise you, he's not going to be the only one. So let's touch on the wide receivers. Quentin Hale, Eli Woodard, okay? Vital, you could probably, well, I know you can. You could line him up in the slot. You could line him up in the backfield. You could put him in motion. But he's just that Swiss Army knife kind of position. He also played quarterback. Well, he does play quarterback in high school. Plays running back a little bit as well. But because you've got Hale, because you've got Woodard, Vital's potential, his possibilities, the way you can use them, I'm starting to think that's going to be it for the wide receiver class as far as 2027 guys. Because 2028, USC has the commitment from Roye Oliver out here in Arizona. He's going to be reclassifying in 2027. So, in essence, even though it's not official, and we probably shouldn't put it at, probably shouldn't say it's 100%. We know when it comes to recruiting, we use the F word all the time. It's fluid. But yeah, everybody's starting to talk about it. You can read about it over there at wearersc.com. Scott Schrader reported it. There's a really good chance he's reclassified in 2027, which now means USC has 10 commitments. And the wide receiver class pulled up. You don't need another one. Not when you've got Woodard and Hale and a Roye Oliver. That's stacking talent. And that's stacking talent on top of what USC brought in 2026, 2025. I mean, look what they're going to have in the draft coming up. Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane. Yeah, USC is still wide receiver U. Everybody, don't forget that, including you, Ohio State fan. So, yeah. Again, I already brought up the F word. Everything is fluid, but the plan is for Roye Oliver to reclassify to 2027. And that's probably the reason why USC and Charles Davis have kind of cooled on each other. UCLA is actually going to pick up, I'm not going to say sloppy seconds, but because Oliver is going to reclassify, USC doesn't, there's only so many spots, and they have to kind of prioritize. So UCLA is going to be getting a really good wide receiver, Charles Davis, more than likely. It seems to be trending that way. Now, there's still 2 more players, though, who are trending to USC. I mentioned up at the top there, you got the offensive lineman, Reis Russell, who's going to eventually, I think, he's going to join Drew Fielder. USC is still going to get at least 1 more offensive lineman. I'm not sure who that's going to be yet. We'll see how that plays out. But there are still 2 other players that USC got some crystal ball predictions for. One of them is the tight end from Northern California, Jace Cannon. Jay Serra in San Mateo, California. So Junipero Serra High School, San Mateo. He's kind of a flex tight end. He would fit that big wide receiver mold as well, kind of in a Joey Olsen type of way. He's 6'5", 215 pounds. He's more of a pass catcher than a blocker, at least at this stage of his career. I know he's a really good tight end. You want to know how I know? Stanford is an offer. Cal is an offer. Texas A&M is an offer. Ole Miss is an offer. USC is getting some crystal ball predictions. So, and it's coming from people who would know. Then you have here on the other side of the ball, as I mentioned, I said Isaiah Vandermeer was not going to be the only defensive lineman in the class of 2027. Big-time defensive end from the state of Connecticut, Makai Brown. Yep. USC's getting a crystal ball couple for him. He's an elite 4-star from Greenwich, Connecticut. Plays at Country Day High School. He's already made the rounds nationally. He's taken visits to programs Ohio State, Miami, Tennessee, North Carolina. He's been on USC's campus twice. Once last fall during the season, and then again this spring recently. His last visit, I think it's setting the stage for a commitment, and it's going to be sooner rather than later. I don't think this one's going to carry into the summer. On Wednesday afternoon, Chad Simmons and Steve Wilfong, they're predicting Makai to USC. You heard those other programs that I mentioned. He's from the East Coast. USC made an impact on his last visit. So he's supposed to be taking an unofficial visit this weekend to South Bend, Indiana. He's kind of held off on scheduling official visits. So, as I said, he's visited those other groups, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Ohio State. They're definitely in the mix. But there's some smoke out there right now, right? Interesting, there's smoke coming from the chimney, and he's going out to South Bend. That once he gets that unofficial visit out of the way, he can go into his decision-making mode, bypass the complete official visit tour, and make the announcement for USC. So we'll see, but everyone's feeling pretty good about that. 6'5", 235 pounds, and he's still growing. So, yeah, you get Luke Wayfall in the 2026 class. You follow it up with a Makai Brown in the 2027 class. USC stacking. They're bringing in talent. Not only have they closed off California to their rivals, they're giving everybody their leftovers, but now they're plucking those NFL guys nationally, because USC has always done that. I know there's programs out there like to say, well, nobody can recruit nationally like we do. Please. We wrote the cookbook. All right, got 2 more segments to go. In the next segment, as I mentioned, Chris Trevino was on yesterday's episode. We started talking about underclassmen leadership. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that in the second segment. And in the third segment, we're going to answer some questions from Locked On USC's Mailbag. Excuse me. So the NBA playoffs, they're almost here, where every possession matters. Every matchup is magnified. Every game can swing the series, for that matter. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. And for you first-timers, how about this for a return on your bet? If you can bet just $5, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. And you're going to love how easy the app works, just like I do. It's really simple to navigate. The FanDuel app makes it easy to literally follow the action with the player stats, their trends, the matchups. You can do it all in one place. It just makes the entire playoff experience so much more engaging from start to finish. If you're a Laker fan like I am, tell you what, you want to take a long shot bet on the Lakers to win it all? Well, Team LeFraud, yep, Team LeBron, they're plus 40,000. So bet 100, make 40,000. Why not, right? Head to FanDuel.com, get started. FanDuel, play your game. Hey, you everydayers who like to listen to the show on your favorite podcast platform right now, want to listen to it ad-free without any interruptions, you can do it. You can get your first month free. Check out the link in the show's description page for more information. So Chris Trevino and I were bouncing some names back and forth, talking about some of the younger guys who could step up in a leadership role in this coming season. So, when you talk about stepping up from a leadership perspective, typically you're talking, people think vocally. Who's going to rally the team, give those words of encouragement, or kick them in the butt when it's necessary? Who are those candidates? You're always looking at who's going to be the team captain, right? Well, you don't always have to be a team captain to be a leader. In fact, sometimes it's easier to be a leader without having that C, on your jersey or on your helmet, wherever they're putting it. Sometimes you just want the ability to speak whenever you want to speak, and sometimes as a team captain, you got to be a little bit more politically correct, right? Anyways, so on paper, we talked about Alex Graham. He's a redshirt freshman, second year in the system. That was the first name that was mentioned. He's a safety. You want that. He's probably going to be the starting nickel. Safeties, typically are considered the quarterback of the defense, and especially in Gary Patterson's 4-2-5 version, it's safety reliant. It starts with the safeties. Actually works from the back moving forward. That's his system. Not going to question it. Turned him into a Hall of Fame head coach. So on that note, yeah, you should probably anticipate someone from that group having at least being mic'd up. We'll see what happens once we get into the season. But what I like about Alex, he plays downhill. He plays with an attitude. I know he's going to let his play on the field do the talking for the most part. However, there are going to be times when he has to be that vocal guy. So does his attitude, is it help? Does it hinder? Does he have to adjust it? And I don't mean that in a negative way. Let me give you an analogy. Here's a perfect example, I think. Somebody who just always holds himself to the highest standard, sets the standard. Kobe Bryant. Dude led by example, right? No one worked harder than the Mamba. No one. And Alex Graham's kind of the same way. No one's going to work harder than he does. However, with Kobe Bryant, when it came to communication skills, bedside manners, so to speak, Kobe was kind of an ass. And he would have been the first one to admit it to him. Rest in peace. Look, I'm not saying Alex doesn't know how to communicate, but can a young star, can a younger guy, can he command the locker room? I guess that's really the question. Because it's rare for a young guy to be the guy that others are going to look toward when they need leadership. If you're an older guy, you're typically not looking to your younger brother to, hey, what should I do? So it's just from that dynamic is why I'm raising that question. If we want to explore some other players, Jakeem Stewart definitely falls into that category. Not just with his voice, he's going to command attention. Period. Remember, he played last year with a broken foot, and that means something to your teammates. They say, all right, that guy's willing to do whatever it takes. He's willing to play through that kind of pain. And look, trying to push off, even if it's a hairline fracture, having a broken foot hurts. For those of us who've had it, it hurts. On the other side of the ball, on offense, I'm going to throw, I don't know how many people would have him on their bingo card, but I'm going to go with Nela Tupou, tight end. That dude is already loud, very vociferous. He's always in a good mood, always smiling. Seriously, dude enjoys life. And you like that. You definitely want that type of person showing those types of leadership qualities, those types of traits. Because people don't want to be around negative people. people gravitate to people who are positive, but they're also grounded, right? They're not over the top. Everything is great, gumdrops and rainbows. And anyways, you can't be a total homer. You got to be able to accept reality sometimes. I think Nela Tupou, though, it would definitely fall into that category of, yeah, you know what, young leader, guys who other guys will follow, look at when they just need someone to talk to, you know. Another guy, offensive lineman, Elijah Vaikona, love his personality. And he's already earning the respect of his teammates. Can't figure him out, right? Can't get around him. Can't go through him. Elijah I've noticed how much he's come out of his shell from his freshman year. Totally different dude. The coaching staff talks about him as well in film room, always asking questions. So you want that. Here's a guy who I definitely think is a natural leader. Romero Eisen. You know, I love the answer he gave when we spoke to him. I think it was in the third week of spring camp. You know, he was asked, how come he didn't consider the transfer portal after barely seeing the field as a true freshman last year, coming all the way over, from Maryland to California. He's like, I took it upon myself to say, I need to get better. Bottom line. It's not I got to make the coach's job harder. I got to get better. When you have that type of attitude, you're a leader right off the bat. Now, I don't know how much they'll, I'm going to give you a couple other names before I close out this segment. I don't know how much they'll lead this year, but I think if you're looking to the offensive line room, Breck Colajay is a dude. Willie Washer is another guy. I know for sure as he continues his trip through USC, Madden Reardon, Brandon Lockhart, these guys are definitely going to be Talanoa Ely. Tom is going to do Tom things, and he's going to make his teammates play up to their abilities. He's going to scare them into doing that. You don't want to get on his bad side. You don't want him being upset with you. There's a common denominator with all those names I just mentioned. After Romero Eisen, Madden, Lockhart, Talanoa Ely, Tom, all California guys. They all grew up with each other. They wanted to play with each other. Now they are. In the next segment, I have some backup to that. Got some questions, comments in the Locked on USC's mailbag. We're going to do that in the next segment, and it has to do with some of these names I just mentioned. Growing up in California, loving each other, wanting to play with each other. It's coming up next.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. UCLA made history by winning its first NCAA Women's Basketball National Championship, dominating South Carolina 79-51. The Bruins controlled the game from start to finish with elite defense and balanced scoring, finishing the season 37-1. Star center Lauren Betts was named Most Outstanding Player, leading a team effort that capped a 31-game winning streak. Under head coach Corey Close, UCLA secured a landmark title that has been decades in the making. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes. I'm coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, so let's interact with the community. Put a little unity in the community. Answer a few questions from the listeners, viewers of the show. My everydayers, if you are not an everydayer and you watch this show on YouTube, right now, become an everydayer. It's free. It's this easy. Click on the red subscribe button, and I want you to smash that thumbs up, and I also want you to hit that bell notification so you don't miss any episodes, because I'm going to be here 5 times a week during the off season. I'm going to be bringing you all the USC news you can handle. All right, so let's answer a few questions. This is actually the best time of the year for all of you to get involved. Ask questions, drop some comments. It's the off season. This is when the best time of the year for me to answer your questions. So do it now. All right. You heard how I exited out of the second segment talking about the California players coming to USC, wanting to play with each other. Here's a rhetorical question from David Chavez. Mark, is it any coincidence that the team is more mentally tougher once Riley and staff started emphasizing recruiting California players who are tough and trained accordingly, plus select top players throughout the country, similar to the previous successful eras of USC? And then he actually went on to answer his own question. Recruiting players from California creates a bond, which creates a toughness and motivation. That's what Riley had missed. That's what Riley had missed out on. He has that now starting and needs it to continue and bring in select mental and talented players from throughout the country that fit that mindset. So David, you're absolutely correct. Especially the California kids who grew up with each other, doing Pop Warner, playing 7-on-7, high school football, all that kind of stuff. They have that bond, and they grew up watching USC. Their parents definitely grew up watching USC. They want to be that next group that brings USC back, helps them win that next national championship. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. With this group of talent, the guys who Lincoln Riley and Chad Bowden and the rest of the coaching staff have been recruiting, Coach Dog being that tip of the spear, it's destiny. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. That's why Chad Bowden's out there. This is the year. No more excuses. This is from John Aitken, FTFO. We know what that means. Hello, Mark. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Question. When you're in the broadcast booth with Pete Arbogast and Mr. Sean Cody, what are you assisting them with? I've watched those YouTube episodes, and it's fun and interesting. Thank you. All right, so John, what's going on there is I've got this card in front of me, and you can flip it over. One side has the opponent's offensive team, starters, and the two deep, and then you flip it over, it's like the deepens, same thing. Starters, two deep. So when the play is happening on the field, as Pete's calling the game and Sean's doing the color commentating, I basically, let's say somebody on the other team makes a tackle. I will point to that person's name on the board so Pete can kind of just take a glance down, say, tackle made by so-and-so. That's what I'm doing. I'm just another set of eyes in the sky trying to help Pete and Sean call the game to the best of their abilities. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And you know what the best part for me is? In there, I'm not, because when I'm sitting in the regular part of the press box as a member of the media, you're not allowed to root or cheer. You kind of got to. Yeah. Well, in there with Pete and with Sean, I can be a little bit more, I don't know, outgoing. So there'll be times you'll see me doing some, fist pumps and having a good time. So yeah, I enjoy those moments in there with Pete and with Sean. So whenever they need help, I'm always there for them. All right. So that answers your question, John. Thanks for asking. From Guy Smithson. Curious what the player's schedule is in regards to weights and conditioning. Do they have a daily hard schedule, meals, that type of stuff? Well, first, I guess this is a perfect time for me to let everybody know. Next week, the media, we're going to be sitting down. We're going to have brunch with the assistant coaches, every single one of them. So we're going to be able to do some post-spring heading into the summer Q&A with them, kind of get their feedback from what they saw during spring camp, rather than just getting everything from Coach Riley, which we had been doing during the camp. Now we get the assistant coach's feedback. To your question, though, Guy, yes, they do have a schedule. And Tremaine Carroll will be in charge of that schedule as far as their conditioning. And then Miss Rachel Suba, the team calls her Miss Rachel. Yeah, meals, big time. Chad Bowden talked about it on the Trojans live show. They made a significant investment with the nutritional program for this year. They are fully invested. They are leaving no stone unturned. Everything is being covered to give this team the best opportunity to make the playoffs. Because once you're in the playoffs, anything can happen. All right, this question is from the Industry Inc. Entertainment. Mark, I just don't understand the Marcelles Williams disrespect. I've never seen Chasen Johnson suit up and show anything at USC, but I've seen Williams grow and improve as a redshirt freshman. I'll take that experience and growth, and it bodes well for Williams. So explain, if you can, why Williams is being disrespected by the media. I'm sure the coaches know what type of player he is. I guess I would turn the question back around real quick. Which media is disrespecting him? Who are you referring to? I hope you're not including me in that group, whomever you're talking about. I'm on the Marcelles Williams train. Don't get me. I'm a huge fan, and I won't be shocked if he starts game one, even if Chasen and Marcelles Williams are both healthy. I wouldn't be shocked for the reasons you mentioned. Now, with that said, let's just, let's keep it real, keep it 100. They brought Marcelles Williams in from Iowa State for a reason. If he's 100% healthy, he's going to start. He was considered one of the top cornerbacks in the country before he got injured. He's going to be a high draft pick. So he's coming to USC. He's going to play on a bigger stage. And he's going to help, those younger guys, guys like Elbert Hill, RJ Sermons, impart some knowledge on Marcelles Williams as well. But I understand your point. I understand it completely what you're saying. I just don't, the disrespect. Personally, I haven't heard any of it. So if you want to follow up with a comment, I'd love to know who you're talking about so I can go wave my finger in their face for it. Because there shouldn't be any disrespect. I get it. Marcellus, local kid, we're all rooting for him. I understand where you're coming from. Let's see. What else do we got going on here? Yeah, so you know what? I'll save the next ones for next week's Q&A. I'm actually running out of time here anyway. So on that note, there's another episode of Locked on USC in the books for you. Again, when you're done making Locked on USC your first listen every day, when you're done with the Locked on Network, head on over there, get on over to weareusc.com. We got a $1 subscription special, 4 months. It'll take you right into the season. You're going to get all your recruiting nuggets. Scott Schrader, Chris Trevino, myself. We're going to load you up with written content. So again, thanks for making Locked on USC your first listen every day. Till our next episode, everyone, you know what to do.